And breaking today, Iran says the Strait of Hormuz has now once again been closed. Iran's Central Military Command says the move comes over Israel.
Did they even open it to begin with?
Israel's continuing strikes in Lebanon. Israel has intensified its assault on Hezbollah targets in the southern part of the country in recent days, with reports of at least 16 people killed today alone. That is according to the Lebanese Civil Defense. Now, all of this comes as the United States and Iranian envoys make their way to Switzerland to try and finalize that fragile peace deal. CBC's Anna Cunningham is tracking this story for us from London. So there's been a lot of movement on this story, Anna, in the last couple of hours. Bring us up to speed. Where are we now?
We're getting nowhere. That's where are we now?
Well, Natasha, at the moment, it's not clear if those talks in Geneva, Switzerland have started. And it would certainly seem that if they do go ahead, the focus has rapidly shifted because, as you said, Iran says it's closed the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, we're less than a week since the US President Donald Trump declared a deal was done. He said, let the oil flow. And just days since we saw that virtual signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Now, let's look at that live view of traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. This is where Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC,
Let the oil flow. Yeah, on paper.
says the key waterways now closed to all vessels. So all of these boats, tankers, those container vessels that you see, they have been stuck there for more than 100 days. Iran is now warning any approaching vessels will risk their own security, it says. And the reason it's doing
These vessels stuck there are probably gonna turn into a museum by the end of this war.
this, it says it's citing Israeli actions in Lebanon for the move and US violations of ceasefire commitments. Look, Natasha, the US Vice President J.D. Vance, he is saying that Steve Witkoff, the US President's special envoy, is on the ground in Switzerland, along with Jared Kushner, President Trump's son, ready for those talks. But we are hearing from Iran that their delegation have only just left Tehran for Geneva. So I think at the moment, they are likely to want to
They're gonna be running a bit late, so gotta wait for them.
refocus talks directly on Lebanon.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What is the push behind Iran's move?
We have seen an
Well, it's simple. Israel never stopped attacking Lebanon, so they're back to playing the only card they have, shutting down the strait once more.
escalation in fighting between the Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah and Israel, particularly in southern Lebanon. Let's just show you some images that we had in today. Israeli strikes hitting the city of Nabatea. Large plumes of smoke were seen from there. The Israeli military says it did this in response to Hezbollah firing at Israeli forces overnight. But it wasn't just today. Yesterday, there were heavy exchanges of fire between both sides. We heard from Lebanon's health ministry saying 47 people were killed and nearly 100 injured. The Israeli military said it was responding to the killing of 4 Israeli soldiers in a Hezbollah ambush. Look, it all matters at the moment because of what Iran is saying about Lebanon. It says that's a key part of its deal with the US, Natasha.
So, how is the U.S. responding to all of this?
We have had a statement from the US Central Command. I'll just go through some of what it says. It says the commercial ship traffic in the Strait of Hormuz increased June 20th. Today, it says US forces are still operating to support freedom of navigation. It also says 55 merchant ships have gone through the strait today with more than 17 million barrels of oil moved.
Oh, nice.
And it does say that US forces remain present and vigilant. Interestingly, we've also heard from J.D. Vance, who told Fox News that he sees no evidence of the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Natasha.
CBC's Anna Cunningham in London. Thank you, Anna. Okay, this is our top story. So let's go to Sajjan Gohel, who's joining us from London for more analysis. He, of course, is the International Security Director at the Asia Pacific Foundation. Sajjan, let's talk about where things stand right now, because a lot has changed within the last couple of hours, as I was speaking to Anna about. We now know
I mean, nothing have changed. We're basically back to square zero. And nothing happened.
that an American delegation is already in Switzerland and the Iranians are about to go there. What has happened? Why is Iran now ready to head over to Switzerland?
Well, keep in mind, Natasha, that Iran could also be posturing as a form of a negotiating tactic, because the purpose in Geneva is part of the 60-day negotiation window to deal with
Yeah, just
unresolved big issues. That was primarily to be about Iran's nuclear program, the enriched uranium stockpile, inspection, sanctions, relief, and Iran's frozen assets. What's happening is that Iran now wants to bring in the Lebanon issue as part of that, and also use the Strait of Hormuz as a repeated tool in many ways to say that they can cause disruption if they want to.
The Strait of Hormuz really sort of kicked off this chain of events today. So we heard from the Iranian regime through the state media saying that the military command guard has closed down the Strait of Hormuz. Then we heard from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance speaking to Fox News saying, no, as far as we can tell, it's not closed.
yeah, it's not
What's your
closed. It's
best sense
open.
of what's going on here?
I think this is another reflection over the fact that there is often a disconnect between both sides, and that often what is sometimes said in the media or
It's
to the
now what's
media
happening. Yeah,
is part of that tactic to try and control the
the
narrative. I think if
narrative.
you
Yeah,
boil this down, Natasha, the war exposed just how vulnerable the global economy remains to disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. And as we know, that roughly a fifth of global oil and a significant portion of liquefied natural gas that flows through the corridor. Now, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz was arguably one of Iran's
biggest tool.
capability
Yeah,
assets, and neither U.S. air power or Israeli military operations could actually neutralize that. So President Trump concluded that a partially weakened Iran, if we got to that stage, is more tolerable than a Strait of Hormuz that is closed. So Iran, I think, knows this, and they utilize this now to their advantage. They,
of
in many
course
ways,
they know
weaponize
this. Yeah,
So the Pakistani government, who of course media
of course they know they can just choke the entire global economy with one move. What, you expect him not to do that? I mean, come on.
mediated the memorandum of understanding, which theoretically both parties have signed off on. They say that interim talks are going to begin again, or going to actually start in Switzerland tomorrow. What do you anticipate is going to happen during those meetings?
Not
What's
much.
curious about that, Natasha, is that Pakistan has definitely made a big point that it was involved in these negotiations. But then it seems that the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, isn't intending to go to Switzerland to be that honest broker and guarantor
The mediator,
of these
yeah.
talks itself. So we'll have to see whether these issues we've been discussing
He's probably tired and done with it. It's like, figure it out between you.
about the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's nuclear weapons program that they have been accused of trying to develop, as well as the Lebanon issue. Lebanon, Natasha, remains that danger point because Iran is linking this deal to an end of Israeli operations against Hezbollah and Lebanon, especially in the south of the country. And while Israel is not formally part of that US-Iran deal, and it's resisting that withdrawal, Iran will continue to utilize that to say that
To
the deal
push
is
that,
not
yeah.
being honored, and therefore they can, if they wish, cause further disruption to the Strait of Hormuz.
But this comes, Sajjan, just a day after Israel and Hezbollah signed a
Agreed to
ceasefire agreement yesterday. And then we at News Network spoke to a reporter in Beirut who said,
Oh,
even though that
man.
ceasefire deal has been signed, Israel, she alleged, was still firing into Lebanon. We certainly heard that from the Lebanese government.
And then Israel will tell you the same thing. Even though we signed the ceasefire treaty, Hezbollah is still firing on Israel. It's like, come
The
on.
Israelis have said they're going to continue their incursion into Lebanon as long as they feel Hezbollah poses a threat.
A threat, yeah.
I mean, between these two things, sticking specifically with the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, is that a real thing? Has that materialized in any legitimate way?
Nope.
Well, signing is one thing, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and seeing what's happening on the ground, Natasha. I think what is telling is we are seeing tensions between the Trump administration and the Netanyahu government, where specific members of Netanyahu's cabinet are being criticized by the Trump administration. And there's more criticism over the fact that they feel that Israel's actions are potentially causing that wider disruption to the Iran-US
Deal, yeah.
process. But keep in mind, Natasha, that if you look at all of this was never a peace treaty. This was a de-escalation bridge at best. In many ways, it's maybe stops the immediate war. It might contribute to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, create that 60-day diplomatic channel. But then the real test is whether all parties and those
Are
that
going
involved
to
in the
respect the
periphery
agreement,
can
yeah.
continue to keep the peace. And as we're discussing, it seems that there are so many challenges in that.
There certainly are. Now, just before I let you go, Sajjan, if you could offer some clarity as to what we should look for tomorrow in terms of, we have this memorandum of understanding that both the United States and Iran signed off.
I mean, a memorandum of understanding, I mean, it doesn't mean much. It's like signing on a napkin or something. No one's gonna take it seriously.
Off on. But then the technical details need to be figured out. So the original MOU had those 14 points. Those have been made public. What's the difference between that and the technical details?
So if you read the 14 points, Natasha, the nuclear provisions in it are vague, but the maritime provisions, specifically to do with the Strait of Hormuz, are highly specific. So the deal repeatedly references reopening shipping, restoring pre-war traffic levels, lifting blockades, restoring oil exports. But when it comes to the nuclear issue, unfortunately, there are a lot of gaps when it comes to addressing that. And also when it comes to Iran wanting aid, reparations, some of these things are
Lifting
going
of
to
the
come
sanctions,
into play,
yeah.
and you're going to find again that there is a disconnect between both sides. And one can only hope that that doesn't lead to it falling apart completely, but that an agreement instead to have a continuing round of discussions in the near future.
Okay, really great as always to get your insights.
Yep,
Sajjan.
we're
Sajjan
back to
Burhan,
square
joining us
zero
from
at this
London.
point,
Thank
so.
you.
Pleasure.